Star Wars, guys!
Star Wars, but without the stars?
Exactly. So just wars.
Oh, like a battlefield?
Waka waka!
Hey guys, Anthony here.
And I'm John from Johnny Ethko,
And
also known as Abstra. Whatever.
No, do your whole spiel, go.
I'm John, also Johnny Ethko. That's my YouTube channel.
Click the annotations here.
I'm also Abstra from fucking Deems Gaming.
And here's a naked picture of John as a baby. He's adorable.
Oh, aren't I cute?
Where did you get a bearskin rug to just lay your naked ass on at 4 years old?
Fucking China.
Okay, all right, China. Guys, we're talking about Star Wars Battlefront 3. Finally, a real teaser, or it's like a teaser trailer thing.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, this thing was made to look good for marketing purpose thing.
But it's in engine, John.
Yeah, no, it's in engine. I have a hard time believing it's going to look like that when it finally releases. No. And it's one of those things where the cameras like place specifically where they want to.
And the characters are animated perfectly.
Yeah, you know, to me, it's like, okay, that's a game engine, great, but until I actually see in gameplay of it, I don't know.
Well, a trailer came out, guys, of Star Wars Battlefront 3, and at the bottom it says in-engine footage.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I understand. Hell, Uncharted does in-engine shit, and it's like, okay, that's kind of what the game's going to look like. So,
yeah.
It looks like the game will look like that.
I hope so.
Lighting will be different, but the explosions, you see those explosions, and you're like, that looks like Battlefield explosion. That's game. That's game. So I thought it would be good if we judged Battlefront completely if it's a good or bad game right now.
Yeah.
Let's review it.
Full review right here.
4 out of 10 doesn't have space battles.
Yeah, that's the most disappointing news about this whole game.
Moments before we came on here to record, we were gonna talk about, I wonder how the game's gonna be, and this is what I hope they do. But right now, we have to focus on something. There's no fucking space battles in goddamn Battlefront 3, according to IGN and all the people in the interviews and the stuff. John told me, hey, there's no space battles. Did you hear? And I was...
It just shattered your world, man.
It shattered my world.
It does seem like an odd decision for a Star Wars game not to have wars in the stars.
Yes, and for a Battlefront game, Star Wars Battlefront 1, I think 1 had space battles, but 2 had great space battles.
Yeah.
The best part of Battlefront 2
was the space battles.
Which, by the way, you've played Battlefront 2
I played Battlefront 2. I played that one a lot. Like, that one was great. Like, I mean, the whole idea with that one was like, here's a spaceship, Empire, Rebel. Yeah. And you could actually fly your ship out, you could dogfight, but you could land your ship on the enemy ship, and like, you had to try to take out their shield generators, you had to try to take out their engine, and the first team to take all 3, like, there were 3 things there. Yeah. But the first team to do the most damage to the other ship won. And that was a fucking cool game mode.
And it was great.
Yeah, and it was set in space.
That was the best part. I used to play it
like, why you couldn't take that and put that in Battlefront.
Well, people wanted that on a different scale, I think, too. I played Battlefront 2 a lot on the Xbox. I love playing it online. But I think people this time were expecting it to go bigger. They wanted, I know a lot of people wanted planet to space combat, you know, where you fly into space. Now, I can
understand, like, from what I've read, the max player count is like 40.
Why? Why would they do that?
Maybe, well, I mean, personally, the way I feel like 64 players is always too much.
True, but at least the option's there.
Yeah.
They're fucking up the game at every turn.
I don't know. But I don't know why they're doing it, but I mean, with that low of a player count, I can understand why you don't want to have ground battle plus space battle running at the same time, because then you're going to have like half people up here. It might feel empty.
Fair enough.
So
from a gameplay perspective.
But I also want that game mode where like ship-to-ship combat is the focus.
Maybe they tried naval...
That was the best game mode in Battlefront 2, and I'm disappointed that it's not in here.
Well, maybe they tried a Naval Strike, and no one liked Naval Strike, and they're like, we'll leave it out.
Well, Naval Strike was nowhere, like, it wasn't the same.
Well, it's a similar concept.
Similar concept, in a way. But not as cool.
Anyways, the trailer came out for Battlefront. So now that we've gotten our space thing out of the way, put space battles in there and don't give it to us as DLC.
That's what they're going to do.
The article also says...
I guarantee you that's what they're going to do. They're going to come out with that space battle as, like, DLC.
Dogfight DLC mode. But the article said, like, no prequel era stuff at release.
And I don't mind that. Cause
no one cares.
Prequels suck.
Except I do want to kill Jar Jar Binks. Like, just chop his head off.
No, and I get that. Like, that from that perspective is like, we just want to keep this sort of the original trilogy. I bet they'll do a prequel DLC. See, that's the thing. I can already see, like, they're leaving stuff out to put in later.
Yeah. Before we get too negative on it, let's just say, John, what do you think about the game as far as, like, what do you hope it's going to be?
The best case scenario is you put something something that's as fast as like Hardline in a Star Wars universe. You just want the gunplay to be good.
Yes.
You want to be able to hop in I mean, it looks like you can hop in ships and fly around. They have like a Tatooine setting, a Hoth setting. You want to be able to, like on Hoth, if you have those speeders, you want to be able to try to wrap it around the big walkers to take them down. You want to be able to drive everything, the big guy, the big AT-ATs, the tiny AT-ATs, I forgot. X-Wings, TIE Fighters, Y-Wings, A-Wings, all that. So, I mean, to be able to fly all those classic ships, and it looks like they're definitely going for a classic Star Wars game feel with the original trilogy. So that's good.
Those are the good ones.
Yeah, those are the good ones, and those are the most iconic ones as far as visually. So I like that. Yeah, I won't know until more gameplay footage is released, one, and then two, you actually get your hands on the game.
Yeah.
Because I'm curious to what it all looks like, what it all feels like, what you can and can't do.
Well, that was Hardline to me. When I got my hands on it and played it, I wasn't excited until I played Hardline. But you said you hope it's fast like Hardline. Me too. What concerns me is DICE is making this game. The good Battlefields to me not the good, let me rephrase that. Okay. The Battlefields I have enjoyed have been Bad Company 2 and Hardline in recent years. Why? Because they were fun to play.
Yeah.
They were made by other people than DICE also. Okay. So here's the thing. I think DICE really wants to make like their Battlefield series more sim-like. They're obviously not simulation games. They're not sims. But they are kind of more realistic in their gameplay compared to Bad Company 2 and Hardline.
Right.
I hope they don't go that route with Star Wars. I would rather, because Battlefield 3 and 4 to me aren't fun to play as much as like Hardline's been.
I think Battlefield 3 is great.
3 and 4 to me are the same game, and they're both just kind of...
4 feels the same as 3, yeah.
So I love Hardline. The gunplay feels great, tight, responsive, and in the futuristic setting of Star Wars, that's how it should be. The original Battlefront 2 wasn't a like precision MLG pro shooter. It was lightsaber. It was a third-person, silly, funny, running-around game, and I hope they keep that kind of atmosphere to it. You know, those original games weren't hardcore online shooters like Call of Duty or Battlefield.
Well, that was really before like that even existed.
Counter-Strike existed. Halo was around. Halo was being their competitive shooter.
Yeah,
Battlefront is not supposed to be a competitive. There shouldn't be YouTube channels about pro Battlefront players. Instead, it should be here's a fun Battlefield match I played, and I hope they just keep that fun aspect to it that was in Battlefront 2, where it wasn't super serious. I'm going to play it, though. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is a franchise we haven't played in years, and we just had lunch, so we were talking about this. Like with Battlefield, I'm almost burnt out on Battlefield.
Yeah.
You know, as much as I mean, obviously we do Battlefield Friends for a living, and so I don't know if that kind of doubles this up. It's like, I feel like in the past 3 years, it was Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Battlefield Hardline. It's so much all at once that I just feel burnt out on the franchise.
Yeah.
And I've talked about this before. This is franchise fatigue. This is like the Assassin's Creed, the Call of Duties, where you're releasing so many games so fast, you lose track of them, and you're like, I've played, every year I'm having to buy a new copy of this game and stop. Because there are other games that you want to play.
Yeah.
And I get the companies who are like, no, you want to play our game. We got to release our game every year. No, you don't.
You need it.
No, you take your time, make your game good, and release it every 3 years. Because if Battlefield 4 had come out, 3 years later after Battlefield 3, it'd have been like, oh, okay, it's time for another one. And that's how I feel about Battlefront right now, and that's why and I think a lot of people are excited to play it.
Yes.
Is because we haven't had a Battlefront since the PlayStation 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's been that long.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm jazzed for it. It's like, yes.
If this one does well, 4 is coming out in 2016.
Yeah. Now that's my fear. It's like, they have this franchise. They're going to do the first one. There's going to be 4 or 5 DLC packs that come with it.
Yeah.
And then there'll be one the next year after that. And it's like, Battlefront, hardball. Yeah.
Softball with a T, and you have a lightsaber, and you're like,
yeah. So I hope they don't run this.
Dad is
I hope they don't run this.
Disappointed in you, and
my biggest fear
you can't
is
run all the bases,
franchise.
and you're like running around, and then your dad's like, "Come on, son, you need to get to the major leagues," but you can't get to the major leagues because you just want to go home and play video games, John. But you do it for him anyways. You stick in there until you just can't take it anymore,
I just told my parents I didn't want to play this shit.
Yeah, I kind of did that too. Actually, I was making that all up.
No, I mean my biggest fear is with Battlefront is they abuse the franchise.
Another thing online that I've seen a lot of people say is this is just another reskin of Battlefield. Are you guys just gonna bring up that fucking point every single game that comes out from Battlefield 2? Like, I get it. You have a couple of years between each games. There's things. People keep saying Hardline is just a DLC for Battlefield 4. Battlefield 4 is more of a DLC for Battlefield 3.
That's kind of what it felt like, isn't it? At least to me. I don't know. Yeah, 'cause, I mean, yeah, that's what I've always said. It's like Battlefield 4, I mean, it was so similar.
Battlefield 4 is DLC for Battlefield 3, but Hardline is a whole brand new game if you're comparing it on those merits. Anyways, I'm saying this game is totally not going to be just a reskin of Battlefield. They're similar games. At this point, a first-person shooter is set in stone what it's going to be. Every game since Doom has been a rip-off of fucking Doom.
Just make the game fun.
Yes.
I mean, and that's my biggest hope.
They also said this game won't use Battlelog.
Good.
Yeah. Battlelog's kind of silly.
It'll use Starlog.
Ooh, but there's no space battles, so log.
Owned by Disney.
This game will just be a log. Poop fell. I wonder if there's gonna be a third-person camera too.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, in Battlefront there was.
I always played in third person.
No, I mean there was always the option to be third person, first person.
They better have a Jedi only mode. Did you in the original game? Remember, every once in a while, if you guys don't know, every once in a while, like Darth Vader would appear at the top.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like a tank.
Yeah,
you could spawn into the tank,
and it almost looks like that's what's going on here.
There's a guy there.
I'm sure there's an interview saying, but I mean, we saw from the trailer, we saw Darth Vader.
Yeah,
obviously that he's going to be in it in some respect. So who knows if he's going to be playable character? But that one shot of Boba Fett flying around,
right?
That says to me, okay.
Character.
So yeah, and that's how the old Battlefront games work. Where you had every now and then a hero would appear.
That's what they were.
And a player could be the hero, and then all of a sudden you're a Jedi with a lightsaber running around, and you're the badass on the field. And it was always cool to be that guy for a little bit.
Yeah, and one of my favorite game modes was just heroes. I used to go on servers all the time where it was just Jedi.
Now that's fun,
and you would just all run around as Jedis and fight. That was great.
Yeah,
and Tatooine.
You hope they have that option there. It'll be DLC. Buy the hero DLC, only $50.
$50. Wow, what a sweet deal, John. Where can I go and buy such things?
Yeah, it does make
on Origin.
Does make you just.
We got to finish the plug, John. They're not going to give us all of our fucking money from EA if we don't finish the plug.
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, that's what we think about Star Wars Battlefront. We know very little, but that's what we hope happens to the Battlefront 3 game.
It's an exciting time to be a Star Wars fan again. You got new games, new movies.
This whole week's been Star Wars.
Yeah, the trailer.
Oh, it's been crazy.
Yeah.
But let me know what you guys think about Battlefront 3. Is it going to be the best game ever? What do you hope it plays like? Do you want a simulation Arma 3 Star Wars? I fucking don't. Anything else, John? Oh, I know. They should like us on Facebook and Twitter. Go down in the description. All right, let's not bullshit here. Go down in the description, click Facebook and Twitter, whichever one you use, and hit like or share so that way you guys get updates on what we do. Also, check out Culture Shock on Twitch. We stream every week.
When do you stream?
Fridays.
Fridays, there you go.
Go down in the description. Let's make silly noises so we can actually have an outro. Ready? Probably looks like I'm taking a huge shit right now.